What's up, gamers? So I just spent the last 3 months absolutely demolishing my social life playing single-player games on PS5, and honestly, zero regrets. My friends think I've disappeared, my sleep schedule is completely destroyed, and I may have forgotten what sunlight feels like. But I've discovered some absolute gaming gems that I need to share with you right now. Okay, can we just talk about how Spider-Man 2 basically ruined every other superhero game for me? Like, I'm swinging through Manhattan at breakneck speed, switching between Peter and Miles mid-flight, and my brain is just screaming, this is what peak gaming feels like. The way Insomniac nailed the web-swinging physics, it's not just transportation anymore, it's pure poetry in motion. You know that feeling when you nail a perfect swing combo and launch yourself 3 blocks without touching the ground? That dopamine hit is unreal. But here's what got me. The story doesn't just coast on the gameplay. Watching Peter struggle with the symbiote while Miles comes into his own as Spider-Man? Chef's kiss. The character development is so well done that you actually feel conflicted when the symbiote makes Peter more confident but also more aggressive. And don't even get me started on Kraven. This isn't your Saturday morning cartoon villain. This guy is legitimately terrifying. The boss fights feel like actual tests of everything you've learned, not just button-mashing contests. Plus, the side quests actually matter. Remember those boring collectathons from other games? Yeah, Spider-Man 2 said, "Hold my web shooter," and made every side mission feel like it could be its own episode of the show. The graphics are so crisp that I caught myself just standing on buildings, watching NPCs go about their daily lives. This isn't just a superhero game, it's a love letter to what makes Spider-Man special, wrapped in some of the tightest gameplay mechanics I've ever experienced. Look, I thought the 2018 God of War was untouchable. I was wrong. Ragnarok takes everything that made that game special and somehow cranks it up to 11 without losing what made it work. The relationship between Kratos and Atreus, it's not just father-son bonding anymore. It's watching a teenager push boundaries while his dad tries to protect him from a destiny that might destroy them both. And can we appreciate how Santa Monica Studio managed to make Kratos even more human while keeping him the absolute unit we know and love? The man literally growls his way through emotional growth, and somehow it works perfectly. The combat system feels like they took the original and asked, what if we made this even more satisfying? Every axe throw has weight, every shield bash feels impactful, and when you finally pull off those combo chains, pure serotonin. But what really got me was how they handled the Norse mythology finale. Without spoilers, because trust me, you want to experience this blind, they managed to wrap up storylines while setting up new mysteries. The boss fights are absolutely bonkers. I'm talking multiple phases, environmental storytelling, and mechanics that actually make sense within the fight's context. And the graphics? My PS5 was basically showing off the entire time. The facial animations are so good that you forget these are digital characters. If you played the 2018 game and you're on the fence about this one, don't be. Ragnarok isn't just a worthy sequel, it's a masterclass in how to evolve a beloved formula without breaking what made it special in the first place. Guerrilla Games really said, let's make robot dinosaurs even more terrifying, and I am absolutely here for it. Forbidden West takes everything that made Zero Dawn incredible and just expands it in every direction possible. The map is massive, but unlike other open-world games that feel empty, every corner of this world has something worth discovering. And Aloy, she's grown so much as a character that you actually feel her burden of saving the world again. The voice acting is top tier. You can hear the exhaustion in her voice when she realizes she's humanity's only hope. Again. But let's talk about these machines because holy cow, they're works of art. Fighting a Tremortusk isn't just a boss battle. It's like going toe-to-toe with a mechanical mammoth that could realistically exist. The way they move, the way their parts break off strategically, the way you have to actually think about your approach, it's tactical combat at its finest. The story goes places I didn't expect, diving deep into environmental themes without being preachy about it. It's more like, hey, what if we explored the consequences of technological advancement through the lens of really cool robot fights and the exploration? Climbing these massive metal structures while piecing together the old world's history through environmental storytelling? I've spent hours just wandering around, not even following quest markers. The photo mode is dangerous because you'll lose entire afternoons just capturing the perfect shot of Aloy standing dramatically in front of some impossible landscape. If you love single-player games that respect your intelligence while delivering absolutely gorgeous spectacle, Forbidden West is essential gaming. Okay, I know what you're thinking. It's just another remaster, right? Wrong. So incredibly wrong. Part 1 isn't just a visual upgrade, it's like experiencing the story for the first time all over again. Except now with technology that can actually match the emotional weight of what's happening on screen. The facial animations are so realistic that you can see every micro-expression, every moment of doubt or determination. When Joel's jaw tightens during a difficult decision, you feel it. When Ellie's eyes light up discovering something from the old world, it hits different. Naughty Dog rebuilt this game from the ground up, and it shows in every detail. The infected are more terrifying than ever. Those clicking sounds in 3D audio with a good headset. I may never sleep again, but what really gets me is how the improved technology serves the storytelling. The environmental details tell stories without words. Walking through abandoned houses and seeing family photos, kids drawing still on refrigerators, personal belongings scattered around. It's environmental storytelling at its absolute peak. The gameplay feels modern while maintaining that classic Last of Us tension. Resource management still matters. Stealth still feels crucial, and every encounter still feels like it could be your last. And if you somehow missed this story the first time around, you're in for something special. This is the post-apocalyptic masterpiece that proved video games could be legitimate art. The relationship between Joel and Ellie anchors everything, and watching it develop over their cross-country journey is genuinely beautiful. Part 1 proves that sometimes going back to perfect something can create magic. This game turned me into a digital samurai poet, and I'm not even embarrassed about it. Sucker Punch created something that feels like the ultimate love letter to samurai films, but also stands completely on its own as a gaming masterpiece. Playing as Jin Sakai isn't just about sword combat, it's about watching honor clash with survival, tradition, battle innovation, and duty wrestle with what's actually right. The moral complexity here is beautiful and devastating. You start as this honorable samurai, following the code, fighting fair fights. But when your homeland is burning and your people are dying, how far would you bend your principles? The ghost techniques aren't just cool stealth moves. They represent Jin's internal struggle with becoming something his culture would consider dishonorable. And the combat. Learning different sword stances for different enemy types makes every encounter feel like a tactical puzzle. Do you face them honorably in a standoff, or do you poison their supplies and strike from the shadows? Both paths feel emotionally weighted. The director's cut adds Iki Island, which somehow manages to be even more gorgeous than the main game. The photo mode is legitimately dangerous to productivity. I've spent literal hours just capturing perfect moments of cherry blossoms falling during sword fights. The haiku system is pure genius, letting you create poetry while reflecting on the journey. This isn't just an open-world action game. It's an interactive meditation on honor, sacrifice, and what it means to protect the things you love. Every sunset feels cinematic, every duel feels personal, and every choice feels like it matters. You know what's wild? I've probably played this game 4 times now, and I still get genuine chills when that opening sequence kicks in. There's something about swinging through a perfectly recreated Manhattan that just hits different every single time. Insomniac didn't just make a Spider-Man game, they made the Spider-Man game. The one we've been waiting for since we were kids pretending to web swing off playground equipment. What gets me is how they nailed the Peter Parker side just as much as the Spider-Man side. Watching Peter struggle with rent, relationships, and his day job while secretly being New York's greatest hero, that's the Spider-Man story right there. The suit collection is basically digital crack. I spent way too much time unlocking new suits just to swing around looking cool. And each suit isn't just cosmetic. They come with powers that actually change how you play. The combat system strikes this perfect balance between accessibility and depth. Button mashing will get you killed, but once you master the flow of dodging, webbing, and environmental takedowns, you feel like you're choreographing your own superhero movie. Mr. Negative as the main villain was such a smart choice. Personal stakes that actually matter to Peter Parker, not just Spider-Man. The side content actually feels meaningful too. Taking photos for JJJ, stopping random crimes, collecting backpacks with personal mementos from Peter's past. It all adds layers to the character instead of just padding the runtime. The DLC stories are worth your time too, especially if you want more of that sweet, sweet web-swinging action. This remastered version on PS5 makes everything look impossibly crisp, and the loading times are basically non-existent. If you've never experienced what it feels like to truly be Spider-Man, this is your chance. Okay, I need to be honest with you. Death Stranding is weird, like really weird, and that's exactly why it's brilliant. Hideo Kojima basically said, what if we made a game about connection, isolation, and the power of helping strangers, but wrapped it in the most bonkers sci-fi story possible? The result is something that shouldn't work, but absolutely does. And you play as Sam, a delivery guy in a post-apocalyptic world where ghosts called BTs roam around and rain makes you age rapidly. Sounds ridiculous, right? But somehow, trudging across desolate landscapes with packages strapped to your back becomes this meditative, almost spiritual experience. The genius is in the online mechanics that you don't even notice at first. Other players leave ladders, bridges, and charging stations in your world. You'll be struggling up a mountain, cursing the terrain, and suddenly find a rope that some stranger left behind. That little moment of relief and gratitude, that's the whole point of the game. The director's cut adds so much content that it feels like a completely new experience. New weapons, new areas, and even a racing mode that somehow fits perfectly into this bizarre world. Norman Reedus delivers a performance that's equal parts stoic and vulnerable, and the supporting cast, including Mads Mikkelsen being absolutely terrifying, elevates the already incredible story. Yes, it's a walking simulator, but it's a walking simulator that made me cry, made me think about human connection, and gave me some of the most breathtaking moments I've experienced in gaming. If you're willing to embrace something completely different, Death Stranding will stick with you long after the credits roll. Returnal broke my brain and then put it back together in the best possible way. Housemarque took the punishing difficulty of roguelikes and wrapped it in this psychological horror story that gets under your skin and stays there. Celine crashes on an alien planet, dies, and wakes up back at her ship to do it all over again. But here's the kicker. She remembers dying. She remembers the previous loops, and slowly, you realize that maybe she's been here much, much longer than you initially thought. The gameplay loop is addictive in the most masochistic way possible. Every death stings, but you immediately want to jump back in because maybe this run will be different. Maybe you'll find better weapons. Maybe you'll finally beat that boss that's been haunting your dreams. The weapons feel incredible. Each one has this alien design that somehow makes perfect sense once you start using it. The haptic feedback on the DualSense controller is absolutely unreal. You can feel different types of rain, different weapon charges, even your character's heartbeat during tense moments. It's immersive in a way that actually enhances the gameplay instead of just being a gimmick. But what really sets Returnal apart is its story. The horror isn't just jump scares. It's existential dread mixed with body horror and psychological uncertainty. Audio logs from previous cycles create this narrative puzzle that you piece together run by run. The house sequences are genuinely terrifying and completely change the game's tone when they appear. This isn't just a great roguelike, it's a psychological thriller that uses the medium of gaming to tell its story in ways that literally couldn't work in any other format. Fair warning though, this game will test your patience and your sanity, but if you stick with it, Returnal offers some of the most rewarding gameplay and storytelling you'll find anywhere. Square Enix really said, let's make Game of Thrones with giant magical summons, and somehow pulled it off flawlessly. Afstaynan is a complete departure from the series' recent entries, and honestly, it's exactly what Final Fantasy needed. This is Clive Rossfield's story, and it's dark, mature, and absolutely epic in scope. We're talking political intrigue, family betrayal, and magical warfare on a scale that'll make your jaw drop. The Icon battles, those are the summon fights, are basically interactive kaiju movies. When Ifrit and Phoenix duke it out, you're not just watching a cutscene, you're actively participating in this massive spectacle that spans multiple phases and environments. It's like they took the best parts of God of War's boss design and cranked the scale up to completely ridiculous. The combat system feels like a perfect blend of Devil May Cry and traditional Final Fantasy. It's accessible enough that newcomers won't feel overwhelmed, but deep enough that mastering all of Clive's abilities becomes this satisfying skill progression. And the story? Look, I won't spoil anything, but this tackles themes of slavery, religious extremism, and power corruption with a maturity that the series hasn't shown in years. Clive's voice acting is phenomenal. Ben Starr brings this raw emotion to every line that makes you genuinely care about his journey, from branded slave to legendary hero. The world building is incredible too. Each nation feels distinct with its own culture, politics, and relationship to magic. The side quests actually matter and often tie into the main narrative in meaningful ways. This isn't just a return to form for Final Fantasy. It's proof that the series can evolve while keeping what made it special. If you've been waiting for a single-player Final Fantasy that respects your time and intelligence, Sixth Sense delivers in spades. Larian Studios basically took the concept of choices matter and said, hold our beer. Baldur's Gate 3 isn't just a great RPG, it's a relationship simulator, a tactical combat puzzle, and a choose-your-own-adventure novel all rolled into one incredible packet. Every conversation feels important because it genuinely is. The dialogue system doesn't just change what NPCs say to you, it fundamentally alters quest lines, character relationships, and sometimes entire story outcomes. I'm talking about decisions in Act 1 having consequences that show up 40 hours later in ways you never saw coming. The character creation is wild. Not just in terms of visual customization, but in how your background choices and class selection change how you experience the world. Playing as a warlock versus a paladin isn't just different combat mechanics. It's literally a different story with different moral dilemmas and different solutions to problems. And the companions. These aren't just party members with predetermined personalities. They're complex characters with their own goals, flaws, and growth arcs that interweave with your choices. Romance isn't just a side feature, it's integrated into the storytelling in ways that feel natural and meaningful. The combat is turn-based, tactical perfection. Every encounter is like a chess match where creativity is rewarded. You can talk your way out of fights, set up elaborate environmental traps, or go full murder hobo. The game accommodates all playstyles without judging you. The production values are insane. Full voice acting for every line of dialogue, motion capture that brings characters to life, and cinematography that makes conversations feel like movie scenes. This is what RPGs can be when developers trust players to handle complex narratives and meaningful choice consequences. Fair warning, your first playthrough will easily hit 100+ hours, and you'll immediately want to start a second one to see how different choices play out. Remedy Entertainment went absolutely unhinged with this one, and I mean that in the best possible way. Alan Wake 2 isn't just a sequel, it's a psychological horror masterpiece that breaks every rule about video game storytelling and somehow makes it work perfectly. You're playing as both Ellen, trapped in this nightmarish dark place, and Saga Anderson, an FBI agent investigating ritualistic murders that seem connected to Alan's manuscripts. The meta-narrative stuff will melt your brain in the most incredible way. This is a game about a writer trapped in a story, trying to write his way out, but while you're literally playing that story. It's layers upon layers of reality-bending concepts that could easily collapse under their own weight. But Remedy pulls it off flawlessly. The horror is next-level disturbing. We're not talking cheap jump scares. This is psychological terror that gets under your skin and stays there. The enemies, called the Taken, move and behave in ways that feel genuinely unsettling. And the darkness mechanics? Chef's kiss. Light isn't just a gameplay gimmick here, it's literally your lifeline in a world where shadows have teeth. What blew me away is how they use different media within the game. There are live-action segments, musical numbers that are somehow terrifying, and manuscript pages that blur the line between game narrative and Alan's actual writing. The graphics are photorealistic in ways that make the horror even more effective. When reality starts breaking down around you, the visual glitches and environmental storytelling create this sense of unease that's hard to shake. Combat feels deliberate and weighty. Every bullet matters, every flashlight battery is precious. This isn't an action game with horror elements. It's a horror experience that uses action to amplify the tension. If you played the first Alan Wake and loved it, this sequel will blow your expectations apart. If you've never experienced Alan Wake before, prepare for something completely unlike anything else in gaming. NeoWiz Games looked at Pinocchio and said, "What if we made this absolutely terrifying and also incredibly difficult?" The result is Lies of P, and it's honestly one of the best Souls-like games ever made. This isn't just Dark Souls with a Pinocchio skin. It's a completely original take on the formula that brings its own unique mechanics and storytelling approach. You're playing as Bai He, a puppet who's trying to become human in a city that's gone completely to hell. The plague has turned people into monsters, other puppets have gone rogue, and you're caught in the middle trying to figure out what it means to be real. The lying system is brilliant. Throughout the game, you can choose to lie or tell the truth in conversations, and these choices gradually make P more human, but also affect how the story unfolds. It's this beautiful parallel to the original Pinocchio story, but wrapped in Bloodborne-level gothic horror. The combat feels fantastic. Your weapon system lets you mix and match parts to create completely custom tools of destruction. Want a fire-enchanted blade on a heavy club handle? Go for it. The experimentation is encouraged, and finding the perfect weapon combination for your playstyle becomes this addictive minigame within the larger experience. Boss fights are absolutely spectacular. Each one feels like a test of everything you've learned, with multiple phases and attack patterns that require genuine skill to overcome. But they're fair. When you die, it's because you messed up, not because the game cheated you. The world design is incredible too. Krat feels like a living, breathing city that's been consumed by horror. The environmental storytelling rivals From Software's best work, with every area telling stories through visual details and enemy placement. If you love challenging action RPGs but want something fresh in the formula, Lies of P delivers everything you want, plus innovations you didn't know you needed. Insomniac Games basically used Rift Apart as their PS5 tech demo and accidentally made one of the best platformers ever created. This game showcases what the PS5 can do in ways that still feel like magic, even after multiple playthroughs. The dimensional rifts aren't just a cool visual effect. They're core to both the gameplay and the storytelling. And they work flawlessly thanks to that SSD speed. You'll literally run through a portal and instantly be in a completely different world with different physics, enemies, and visual styles. It's seamless in a way that shouldn't be possible, but absolutely is. Rivet is a fantastic addition to the series. She's not just female Ratchet. She's her own character with her own personality, motivations, and relationship dynamics with Clank and the other characters. The dynamic between her Dimension and Ratchet's creates this great parallel story structure that keeps things fresh throughout the entire adventure. The weapons are absolutely bonkers in the best possible way. The burst fire weapon turns enemies into digital pixels. The topiary sprinkler turns them into decorative plants, and the Rhino 8 is basically a reality-breaking death machine that plays orchestral music while destroying everything on screen. Each weapon feels unique and satisfying, and the upgrade system encourages you to actually use all of them instead of just finding one favorite. The graphics are cartoon perfection. Every frame looks like it could be from a Pixar movie, and the particle effects during combat are genuinely mesmerizing. The haptic feedback makes each weapon feel distinct in your hands. You can literally feel the difference between shooting the burst fire versus the bouncer. The story is surprisingly heartfelt too. It's about family, belonging, and finding your place in the universe, wrapped up in this colorful, action-packed adventure that respects both longtime fans and newcomers. If you want to see what the PS5 can really do while having an absolute blast, Rift Apart is essential gaming. Bluepoint Games did not just remake Demon's Souls, they created a masterpiece that honors the original, while showcasing exactly what the PS5 is capable of. This is the game that started the entire Souls-like genre, rebuilt from the ground up with modern technology, and it's absolutely stunning. Every stone corridor, every flickering torch, every terrifying enemy has been lovingly recreated with incredible attention to detail. The Tower of Latria still gives me nightmares, but now those nightmares are rendered in my 2K with ray-traced reflections. What's incredible is how they maintain the original's brutal difficulty while making small quality-of-life improvements that don't compromise the intended experience. The load times are practically non-existent, which transforms the death and retry loop from frustrating to almost meditative. You die, you learn, you try again, and you're back in the action within seconds. The combat still feels weighty and deliberate. Every sword swing, every dodge roll, every parry requires timing and commitment. This isn't a hack-and-slash game. It's a tactical combat puzzle where patience and observation are rewarded over button-mashing aggression. Each area of Boletaria feels like its own unique nightmare. The Shrine of Storms is this haunting desert wasteland, while the Valley of Defilement is exactly as gross as it sounds. The variety keeps the challenge fresh, and each area requires different strategies and approaches. The boss fights are legendary. Fighting the Flame Lurker isn't just about dealing damage, it's about managing space, timing, and resource consumption. When you finally beat a boss that's been killing you for hours, the satisfaction is unreal. The multiplayer integration is subtle but brilliant. Seeing bloodstains where other players died, reading cryptic messages they've left behind, occasionally summoning help or being invaded by other players, it creates this sense of shared struggle without breaking the single-player immersion. If you've never experienced a From Software game, this is the perfect entry point. If you're a Souls veteran, seeing this classic reborn is absolutely worth revisiting. Ubisoft finally listened to the fans who've been begging them to go back to the series' roots, and Mirage is exactly what we asked for. This isn't a massive 100-hour RPG with dialogue trees and crafting systems. This is classic Assassin's Creed distilled down to its purest elements. And it's absolutely refreshing. You're playing as Basim in 9th century Baghdad, and this is his origin story, as he transforms from street thief to master assassin. The city is gorgeous. Baghdad feels alive with merchants hawking their wares, scholars debating in courtyards, and guards patrolling with actual purpose. The parkour system has been refined to feel smooth and intuitive. Climbing buildings and running across rooftops feels natural and fluid, like they remembered that traversal should be fun, not a chore. Stealth is king again, and thank God for that. Social stealth, blend crowds, pickpocketing, stalking targets from the shadows. All the classic mechanics are back and better than ever. Each assassination feels like solving a puzzle. You scout the area, identify patrol patterns, plan your approach, and execute with precision. Getting spotted doesn't mean fight your way out anymore. It means you failed and need to try a different approach. The story is focused and personal. Instead of saving the world for the 100th time, you're following Basim's personal journey and his relationship with his mentor. The voice acting is excellent, and the cutscenes actually feel meaningful instead of just padding between gameplay segments. The investigation system brings back those detective elements that made the series special. You're not just following waypoints. You're gathering clues, interviewing witnesses, and piecing together information to plan your assassinations. If you've been disappointed with recent Assassin's Creed entries and missed the days of the original trilogy, Mirage is the course correction you've been waiting for. It proves that sometimes going backwards is the best way to move forward. Shift Up came out of nowhere and delivered one of the most stylish action games I've played in years. Stellar Blade is what happens when you combine Nyar's philosophical storytelling with Devil May Cry's combat system and wrap it all in some of the most gorgeous visuals on PS5. You're playing as an android warrior fighting to reclaim Earth from these horrific creatures called Nightaba. And trust me, the story goes places you won't expect. The combat system is absolutely addictive. It's all about perfect timing, dodging at the exact right moment, landing precise counters, and chaining combos that flow like a deadly dance. Every enemy type requires different strategies, and boss fights are these epic encounters that test everything you've learned. The parry system feels incredible when you nail it, giving you that same satisfaction as mastering a From Software boss, but with more style and flair. What really impressed me is how the game balances accessibility with depth. You can button mash your way through on easier difficulties, but mastering the timing and combo systems on higher difficulties becomes this incredibly rewarding skill journey. The customization options are insane too. Dozens of outfits that aren't just cosmetic, but actually affect gameplay stats. Eve's character development is fascinating. She starts as this cold, mission-focused android, but as she interacts with the remaining humans and uncovers the truth about the apocalypse, she begins questioning everything she believes. The voice acting sells every emotional beat, especially as Eve starts experiencing very human emotions for the first time. The world design is beautiful and haunting. Post-apocalyptic Earth has been reclaimed by nature in some areas, while others are these nightmarish industrial wastelands. The environmental storytelling is top-notch. You can piece together what happened to humanity through visual details and optional lore scattered throughout the world. If you love stylish action games with deeper stories than they initially appear to have, Stellar Blade is absolutely worth your time. It's proof that new studios can still innovate in genres that feel oversaturated. Ember Lab basically said, "What if we made a Pixar movie playable?" And the result is one of the most charming and unexpectedly challenging games I've experienced. Kena looks like it should be a kid's game. The art style is gorgeous, colorful, and wholesome. But don't let that fool you. This game will test your skills in ways you won't see coming. You play as Kena, a spirit guide helping lost souls find peace, and the story tackles some surprisingly heavy themes about grief, letting go, and finding closure after loss. The rot creatures, these adorable little spirit companions, are basically the best sidekicks in gaming. They're not just cute, they're integral to both combat and puzzle solving. Watching them cheer you on during fights or get scared during boss battles adds this emotional layer that makes every encounter feel personal. The combat system strikes this perfect balance between accessible and challenging. Regular enemies are manageable, but boss fights will absolutely wreck you if you're not paying attention. The difficulty spikes caught me completely off guard. One minute you're having a zen-like experience collecting rot and solving environmental puzzles. The next you're dodge rolling for your life against some corrupted spirit that's way more aggressive than anything has a right to be in such a beautiful game. What makes Kena special is how it uses its gorgeous presentation to enhance the storytelling. Each area tells a story of loss and corruption, and as you help spirits find peace, you literally watch the world heal around you. Dead forests bloom back to life, corrupted areas become beautiful again, and it's incredibly satisfying to see your progress reflected in the environment. The puzzle design is clever without being frustrating. The rot help you manipulate the environment in creative ways, and figuring out how to use them effectively becomes this fun mini-game within the larger adventure. The photo mode is dangerous because you'll lose hours just capturing perfect shots of Kena and the rot in these stunning environments. If you want a game that proves indie studios can compete with AAA productions in terms of polish and presentation, Kena is absolutely essential. Just don't underestimate those boss fights. Arcane Studios took the time loop concept and created the most stylish puzzle shooter I've ever played. Deathloop isn't just about shooting people, it's about information gathering, pattern recognition, and slowly unraveling this complex web of cause and effect until you can pull off the perfect assassination chain. You're Colt, stuck in a time loop, trying to kill 8 targets in a single day to break free. But here's the genius part. You can't just run and gun your way through this. You need to learn schedules, discover secrets, and figure out how to manipulate events so all your targets end up in the right places at the right times. The investigation system is incredible. Every loop teaches you something new. Maybe you overhear a conversation that reveals a secret meeting, or you find a note that explains why 2 targets hate each other. This information carries over between loops, so you're constantly building this mental database of useful knowledge. The gunplay feels fantastic, with weapons that have real personality and impact. But the real star is the supernatural abilities, teleporting around environments, linking enemies so damage spreads between them, rewinding time to avoid death. These powers make every encounter feel like you're playing a superhero power fantasy. Juliana adds this incredible wildcard element. Sometimes she's AI controlled, sometimes she's another player invading your loop, but she's always hunting you, always trying to preserve the loop you're trying to break. These encounters are tense and unpredictable, adding stakes to exploration that keeps you on edge. The art direction is pure style, this retro-futuristic 70s aesthetic with bold colors and design choices that make every environment pop. The music is fantastic too, this funky, energetic soundtrack that perfectly matches the game's irreverent tone. The story explores themes of identity, purpose, and what happens when you're given infinite chances to perfect something. Colt and Juliana's relationship is complex and well-written, revealed through their constant radio banter that's genuinely entertaining. If you love games that reward curiosity and experimentation, Deathloop is unlike anything else out there. Subreddit Media Molecule handed the Little Big Planet franchise to Sumo Digital, and somehow they created the most pure joy I've experienced in gaming. Sackboy isn't trying to revolutionize platforming, it's trying to perfect it, and it absolutely succeeds. This game radiates happiness from every stitch of Sackboy's adorable fabric body to the infectious soundtrack that'll have you humming for days. The platforming is immaculate. Every jump feels precise. Every landing is satisfying, and the controls are so responsive that when you mess up, you know it's your fault, not the game's. The level design is creative without being punishing, challenging without being frustrating. Each world introduces new mechanics gradually, giving you time to master them before ramping up the difficulty. But the real magic happens in the music levels. These aren't just regular stages with background music. They're interactive music videos where every jump, every collect, every platform movement is perfectly synced to incredible songs. The Uptown Funk level alone justifies the entire game's existence. When you hit every beat perfectly, and Sackboy is grooving along to the rhythm, it's pure serotonin injection. The cooperative play is seamless and hilarious. Playing with friends turns every level into this chaotic collaboration, where you're simultaneously helping each other and accidentally sabotaging each other's jumps. The game handles different skill levels perfectly. Experienced players can go for completionist runs, while newcomers can just enjoy the ride. The customization options are extensive and adorable. Unlocking new costumes for Sackboy becomes this addictive collection game, and seeing your little fabric hero dressed as everything from a dinosaur to a spacesuit never gets old. Each costume has personality, and Sackboy's animations change to match whatever he's wearing. What impressed me most is how the game respects your time. Levels are the perfect length, collectibles are fun to hunt for without being tedious, and the difficulty curve is expertly crafted. This is comfort food gaming at its absolute finest, a game that exists purely to make you smile. If you need a break from dark, serious games and just want to experience pure, uncomplicated fun, Sackboy delivers exactly that. Avalanche Software basically gave every Harry Potter fan the game we've been dreaming about since we first read the books. Hogwarts Legacy isn't just a good licensed game, it's a genuine love letter to the wizarding world that stands on its own as an excellent RPG. You're a fifth-year student starting late at Hogwarts, and you can perceive and wield ancient magic that most wizards can't even see. The story goes to some surprisingly dark places while maintaining that magical wonder that makes the Harry Potter universe special. The character creation is comprehensive, and your choices actually matter throughout the game. Playing as different Hogwarts houses gives you different common room experiences, different quest lines, and different dialogue options. The house sorting ceremony gave me legitimate chills. It's exactly as magical as you'd hope it would be. Combat is way more engaging than I expected. Learning different spells and combining them in creative ways makes every encounter feel dynamic. You're not just pressing buttons. You're conducting magical battles where timing, spell selection, and environmental awareness all matter. Boss fights against dark wizards become these intense magical duels that feel straight out of the films. But the real star is Hogwarts itself. The castle is massive, detailed, and alive with secrets. You can spend hours just exploring, finding hidden passages, solving puzzles, and discovering lore scattered throughout the halls. The Great Hall during mealtimes, students chatting in corridors, ghosts floating through walls. It all feels authentically magical. The companion characters are well written and have their own compelling storylines. Sebastian's dark magic arc, Poppy's magical creature conservation work, Natsai's justice-focused missions. These aren't just side quests, but genuine character studies that enhance the main story. The magical creature system is incredible. Caring for nifflers, feeding hippogriffs, and rescuing fantastic beasts from poachers creates these peaceful moments between the more intense story beats. The Room of Requirement becomes your own customizable space, where you can care for creatures and grow magical plants. If you've ever wanted to experience what it would be like to actually attend Hogwarts, Legacy delivers that fantasy better than any game before it. It's proof that licensed games can be excellent when developers truly understand and respect the source material. And there you have it. 20 single-player games that basically turn my PS5 into a time machine that steals entire weekends. Seriously, I started this list thinking I'd just quickly revisit a few favorites, and somehow ended up replaying half of these games while writing the script. My productivity has never been lower, but my gaming satisfaction? Through the roof.